SCITEC Nutrition. Premium quality products. State-of-the-art look. Uncompromised ingredient quality. Our products work and taste good. www.scitecnutrition.com.
Gorilla Wear.
We're here at FIBO 2015, and I'm going to ask a bunch of questions to all our athletes here. I want to know what the athletes feel about Arnold's call to arms at the Arnold Classic this year, where he demanded that the judges reevaluate the judging criteria, go for the small-waisted, more aesthetic bodybuilders. Is it a good idea, or is it not? Let's find out what they had to say.
I think Arnold made that statement a couple years now in a row. Definitely will help someone like me competing against, the mass monsters. I think it's a good way to go. You have a lot of guys that are more, towards my shape, and a lot of these guys pushing the envelope, trying to be bigger. I don't know. It's not, for me, it's bodybuilding about aesthetics and symmetry and, pleasing to the eyes. And I've been saying that for a while now. So, and I think that's the way we should go.
Well, to answer the question that Arnold asked, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like it should not just be about just size, because I've always been a fan of both size and aesthetic. So if I'm gonna bring some size, I gotta bring some kind of prettiness with it, something that you wanna look at and and say, at least I wanna look someone like this guy, but not just somebody that look like a big mess. That's my 2 cents in it. So I'm a fan of both, but I wouldn't just go for a guy because he got good shape, because to me that's not complete bodybuilding, because that's why they have the men physique they have for the division. But for bodybuilding, I think it got to be about muscle, size, and aesthetic. It cannot just be just one. So for me, I like to see everything when it comes to be a complete bodybuilder.
Basically, when Arnold was praising aesthetics, I was like, that's me. So how else could I disagree? So I'm glad somebody finally had the balls. A lot of people took a dislike to what he said, but really, sports is an art. It's an art form. I respect everybody's game, but anything that's in favor of physique like mine, I have to agree with and support. So I can't complain, man. It's something to put a smile on my face for sure.
Okay, a lot of people ask, what do I think about after the Arnold Classic, what Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, the things that he said about, wanting to bring aesthetics back to the forefront in bodybuilding. I think it's a really big deal, but at the same time, for right now, we can only look at it as talk for now, because you never know what's going to happen, You can say what you want bodybuilding to become, but without the action actually taking place to move it that way, it's only just words, So I definitely appreciate it, because I feel like he said those things because of me, and that made me feel really good for someone of his caliber to notice me, and to say, hey, hold on a second, Cedric should have done better, something's got to happen. I can remember back when I was getting ready for the Nationals, and when I won the Nationals, people were saying stuff like, oh, Cedric has this old school physique, and before that, nobody was ever saying anything about old school physiques. Nobody was ever saying anything about aesthetics. Nobody was ever saying anything about classic. And when I came into the pro scene, that's when all this stuff started. And here we are now, 5 years later, and everything seems to be trying to start moving in that direction. So for me, it seems like, okay, now things are coming into fruition, So, but at the same time, you just gotta wait and see what's gonna happen, So that's what I'm doing, just waiting to see what happens.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that statement, because I'm considered to be one of the more aesthetic bodybuilders, and when it comes to size, I might not be that big, but I try and keep everything as symmetrical as I can. And when I heard the rumors, I went into YouTube and I checked what he said, and I was very excited to hear that. So yeah, I'm very, very keen to see what's going to happen.
I think Arnold's comments about the more aesthetic physiques is something we should definitely all consider. Personally, I think it has to be a blend between the two. I like the mass physiques. I like some of the way in which bodybuilding has gone. but I do understand his point 100%. It should be still something that people want to aspire to look like. We don't need a whole bunch of torn muscles and blown out guts and all that. So personally, the way I'm trying to make my physique is just as big as it can be, but still somewhat aesthetic. That's kind of how I envision bodybuilding. I don't really see bodybuilders ever being like models or men's physique kind of physiques. I think they should be massive, but I do think they should be proportionate.
This is my opinion of what Arnold spoke up about aesthetics, and obviously I'm on the same page, man. Bodybuilding's got to go back to what it used to be. 70s, 80s, early 90s, that's what it was all about. Small waist, wide shoulders. Symmetry and aesthetics is the most important part about bodybuilding. Once you lose that small waist, forget about it. In my opinion, you're no longer a bodybuilder. And I think it's very important that things go back to there. You know, and I think the men's physique, much respect, man. These guys got incredible physiques, and I can't stand it when I see bodybuilders talking shit about men's physique, because they have incredible physiques. Small little waists, you know, tight abs, much respect. I think when you get that, you know, that stomach, no longer should even place in a contest. It's my opinion, you know, and hopefully they, you know, take his advice and they go in that direction and bring bodybuilding back to where it used to be, all about symmetry and aesthetics. Now, Dave, I have a question. Now, I remember back in the days, they would judge on 3 criteria: symmetry, muscularity, and presentation.
Right.
Do they no longer, there is no 3 categories to judge on,
I
right?
don't think there's presentation anymore, yeah.
Yeah, so basically it's just what the judges choose. There is no set criteria.
Right, I don't think they score rounds anymore. It's kind of like yes, no.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a criteria. There needs to be a set criteria, score in each category, send the athletes their score sheet, so at least they know why they didn't place well.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I mean, you know, maybe, you know, look, you were shredded, but you know, you lacked in the symmetry round.
Yeah.
You know, or vice versa.
But I was powerful in the muscularity and conditioning aspect.
Right.
So I think that's what makes a well-rounded body.
Yeah, yeah, just a little more guidelines, you know, so everyone knows exactly what they're looking for.
Statements that Arnold made at the Arnold Classic this year, my opinion on that is, for me, it can go either way. I don't think necessarily we have to look at the most aesthetic bodies and say automatically, oh, you should win because you got the perfect shape, or you got the shape that I think is the perfect shape, you know, and think automatically they should be up front. You got to look at everybody, you know, the same way, and the most conditioned, the most balanced guy. You know, I'm just going to use Branch for an example, because he's my workout partner, not because he should have won the Arnold. I'm just going to put that there. So if you look at the guy, you know, this year at the Arnold was the most complete he's been on stage. He comes in every year with, you know, more or less the same conditioning, the same graininess, but he happened to be just more fuller and more complete this year, you know. And of course, his aesthetics aren't as great as Dexter Jackson, the small waist, all that good stuff, but you got to look at the guy as a whole, and everything flowed together, everything was spot on, and so you can't judge somebody on their aesthetics and not the whole package. And that's my opinion, that I think, you know, you're going from one extreme to the other extreme, and it don't make it necessarily right.
I don't know. I don't know where Arnold comes up with that whole thing. I think bodybuilding, you know, we've been through different sides of bodybuilding. Obviously, the guys were bigger before. Now we got a couple guys that were a little loose with their stomachs at these shows, and it's all of a sudden a big deal. I think now, you know, Arnold out speaking about it for the first time in quite some time. I think he's brought it up before. I think the judge is doing a great job. I think you had a couple guys at the show that, you know, had a couple issues and it was all a big deal, but I think they're doing a good enough job and really just trying to keep it under control, and you'll see the next shows you're not going to see that, and it'll be for the same guys you probably won't see those problems. So I just think he's beating a dead horse. I mean, we went through this years ago with the stomach thing.
Dorian and all
yeah, I mean, that's where it all started. I mean, once you push these guys to be bigger, it's, you know, guys are going to, you know, come in on or off. They're going to have stomach issues. You know, it's a carving up process a lot of the times. It has nothing to do with, oh, the guys are just, you know, they've blown their physiques out. I think a lot of them, it's just a process that happens show to show.
I absolutely agree with Arnold's statement to the judges that we should move toward a more aesthetic bodybuilding. it's hard, you know. You're put under so much pressure. I've been accused of it in the past, and I'm guilty of it too. You're accused to put on so much you're forced to put on so much muscle to compete with these guys who are massive freaks. You get caught up in eating so much food, having to eat every 2 hours, trying to just push the envelope of really human development, and sometimes your waist is going to grow. I mean, you know, it is what it is. Unfortunately, you know, we're not the bodybuilders of the 90s. Some of those guys are extremely blessed. We're not them. We're trying to be them. And in the course of trying to be there, sometimes your waist gets blown out. So I'm in the process of trying to minimize my waist, reduce my waist as much as possible. It's a tough process, man, because you're trying to not lose muscle while trying to reduce the waist. But I absolutely agree, and I'm doing my best to turn it around, and hopefully everybody else too is. And I know they are, obviously, now that Arnold called us out. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's just part of the sport. When you're trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger, you know, it is what it is. I mean, the guys in the 90s and the 80s were 220 pounds. We're pushing the envelope at 280, 300. It's different.
Just one more thing that I've said over the years, and everyone knows that I stood strong with my feeling on it. Bodybuilding, you know, it starts with the midsection, it ends with the midsection. And that's what bodybuilding's always meant to me. I wasn't the biggest bodybuilder on stage, but I was always a bodybuilder that wanted to show a balanced physique, worked hard on my posing to show and present the best physique I could, and that's what I always stood for, and I always thought that, hey, I had one of the best physiques in the world at one given time or another, and that's what I would love to see that happen for the sport. And that's when everyone's always talking about the 90s look. You know, it always meant a lot to me for the sport to have the same look that I read about as a kid, and that I always sought after myself.
I wasn't there, I didn't hear it, but I was told. And I'm not sure, you know, he talked about CEDRIC, so I heard that he said that CEDRIC should have placed better. He didn't necessarily say he should have won, but he should have placed better. Well, yeah, and I believe that CEDRIC is probably the most perfect physique on any bodybuilding stage.
You like his physique?
I love his physique. I love his physique. He has the height, he has the width, he has basically a flawless physique. He has the shape, the muscle bellies. All he needs to do is get the super dry condition, and I think he can be another unbeatable Mr. Olympia. Now, when we talk about, you know, Arnold saying, you know, should we go back to aesthetic? That's the one. I mean, he's an aesthetic pleasing athlete, so I don't think there was anything wrong. So I'm not sure really what they're talking about or what Arnold was saying, but I can understand that, you know, bodybuilding shouldn't be about, you know, bloated stomachs and, you know what I mean? Because I know firsthand how that goes. So and I think he has a valid point. You know, he has a valid point. I don't know if we need to change the judges system. I don't think that needs to happen. But what they need to do is just probably punish people that do not control the midsection, maybe a little bit more. So, because if they don't get punished, they will not fix it.